If I told you that computers existed 2000 years ago, what would you say? And I'm not talking here about abacus, where you only move little things to count to 10. Uh, I'm talking about a real analog computer that calculates complex data. This is Antikythera mechanism that was discovered in a shipwreck in 1901 near the Greek island of Antikythera. It took over 100 years to figure out what this device exactly does. In 2008, a special X-ray tomography machine was built and taken to the museum in Athens to perform a series of deep 3D X-ray scans. And here you can have a look at how it looks on and how it appears on the inside. And the results show that this was a machine built to predict the future events decades ahead, specifically events like lunar eclipses or solar eclipses, and it was accurate to the hour, and even showing the direction of the shadow on the moon and whether the shadow would be black or red, because these two words, black and red, fiery red, appear written down with Greek letters on the mechanism. So what was found on this mechanism was that it contained a lot of metal gears with little teeth in it. A number of years before this discovery, when I studied for my degree, we were told that it was the monks in monasteries in the Middle Ages who invented the metal gears in clocks to help them follow the strict life routines in monasteries. Up to that time, it was believed that precision metal engineered gears did not exist before that time. Certainly did not exist in the ancient Greek and Roman world. They did use some wooden gears, a bit rougher, but certainly not the precisely metal engineered gears. But then sometimes we dig up some stuff which tells us that we do not know our history as well as we think we know it. And some people suggest that it was Archimedes who lived in Syracuse. Archimedes was the man, suggested,ly who designed and constructed this device, the famous mathematician. Basically, Archimedes was an ancient version of Isaac Newton. Both of them made a revolutionary progress in the study of heavenly bodies. So, this mechanism and its gears were used to calculate precisely the movement of the heavenly bodies, specific heavenly bodies. Sun, moon, and the planets, or as they used to call them, the wanderers. Not the fixed stars that are always in the same place, but these heavenly bodies that move across the sky. One of the gears had 127 little teeth on it, and the other one had 235 little teeth on it. It was really precise and really accurate, as pointed out. And in the mechanism, as it was X-rayed, they found there are 27 of these wheels with gears on it. Thousands of little teeth in it, calculating everything, ticking along like a Swiss clock. And this is not all. This is what it was found, because the mechanism is not complete. There's some gears still missing. So there's more to it. And this mechanism does even more than what they've discovered about it. So it's quite an amazing thing. And again, this mechanism would precisely tell you where the shadow will be on the moon and whether it will be a black shadow or it will be a red shadow, depending on the time specifically. And it was highly, highly accurate, predicting things decades ahead. Amazing computer, analog computer that was there 2000 years ago. So, if we look up into the skies, if we look at the sun, we know that the sun is that which gives us warmth, that supports life, and it gives us light so we can look around and see things. And if you use the light to look through the telescope, we can look and see that the other planets in our solar system do not support life like this planet does. There is nothing green and blue on those other planets. They're all desolate. If you look at the moon, there are various theories regarding the origin of the moon, none of which can be scientifically proven. And there is no evidence for any of these theories. The bottom line is that all these theories are about some kind of accident. It all happened by accident, either through collision or some kind of explosion, or it was an accidental event, like a big car accident. And that's how the moon came to be. So we come to the question, as this question has come up in this series, Science and Faith Conversations, before. Was it by chance or by design, with clear plan and purpose? How did the moon come about? That is the question. Now, this is the picture showing you the ratio between the three heavenly bodies: the sun, the earth, and the moon. Okay, so the sun is the big yellow ball. Earth is right in the middle. It's a little black spot, as you can see it. And the moon is a tiniest ever spot there on the screen. And it's massively different in size if compared to the sun. Now, if this is how different the moon and the sun look like in reality, in ratio when compared and put next to each other, how come when we look up into the skies, the sun and the moon, from our human perspective, from this planet, how come they are exactly the same size? It's like taking a one penny coin, putting it over another penny coin, covering it perfectly so you can see only one coin. And this is how we can see things like corona, this line light around the heavenly body, because the sun and the moon are so perfectly identical, and they appear to be the same size when seen from the earthly perspective, from the human perspective. And if you remember, if you look at the picture again, the sun is massively different in size if compared to the moon. A little dot compared to the big football. But if you look up in the skies from here, they're perfectly identical from our human point of view. How can this be? Can this be by chance? Well, here's an article from astronomy.com magazine, October 2000. It says, "Believe it or not." Now, this is a scientific magazine calling upon faith or belief. And of course, that's true because it's a matter of belief, because there is no evidence to know how or why the sun and moon are the way they are and appear to be in the sky. Believe it or not, it's a matter of faith, not science. It actually is just a coincidence, and a happy one at that. Not just a coincidence, but a happy one to make us smile, put a smile on our faces. Believe it or not, matter of faith, not science. The moon and sun have virtually the same angular size in our sky because the sun is about 400 times wider than the moon, but it's also about 400 times farther away from the moon, from our human perspective, from this planet Earth. This allows us to see spectacular coronal displays and prominences during total solar eclipses. So we come back to this question again. Really, is this by chance or is it by design? We got some interesting numbers here, and It seems like there's some mathematics maybe implied there. Do the mathematics and equations come by chance or by design? The big mystery is mathematics invented, or is it already in nature, existing in the universe and creation? That's a big mystery that people cannot answer. Have we invented it to understand the universe in our own language, or is mathematics already there and we haven't invented it, we discovered it? That's a mystery. Nobody can really answer that question. So it's up to us to see what makes more sense to us. That the sun is 400 times wider than the moon, 400 times further away than the moon, so perfectly from our perspective, human perspective, from the perspective of the planet Earth, they are exactly the same size when we look up into the sky. Well, if you think it's by chance, it is by chance. But if you take the other option, and if you consider that it could be by design, plan and purpose, we can go back to the Genesis again and remember the phrase "in the beginning." In the book of Genesis, God purposefully created and designed everything with a purpose. Genesis 1:14 says, "Then God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night. And let them be for," now this word "for" reveals intent and purpose. This is the reason for their existence. Let them be for signs and seasons, and for days and years. So basically, what we read in the book of Genesis, the purpose of these heavenly bodies, such as the sun and the moon, I'm not talking about all the heavenly bodies, not all the stars, not the fixed stars. They're always there. They always look the same. But the heavenly bodies like sun, moon, and the planets that move across the sky, keep moving across the sky, let them be for signs, seasons, and for days and years. In other words, all these are set there to be like a big clock in the sky, big Swiss watch to show us the times correctly and accurately. Okay, so this is the purpose of these heavenly bodies. They are the clock in the sky to show us the times, days, months, years, seasons. This is their purpose. Now, this is how somebody has rebuilt the Antikythera mechanism. This is how it apparently looked like when it was whole and brand new and looked nice and not been underwater for 2,000 years. And you can see little hands there. Each one had a little ball on them representing one of the planets or the sun or the moon. And they've been moving perfectly based on the gears and mechanisms within Antikythera device to show and predict exactly where the planets would be in relation to each other and to the Earth, where the shadows will be on the moon, what color shadows will be, a little writing saying red or black. Amazing mechanism. Now, seven wonders. This is an ancient phrase. Before we had telescopes, with telescopes you can see much more and much further. But with the naked eye, there are only seven heavenly bodies that you can see that move across the sky. Not the stars. The stars used to be called fixed. They're fixed stars and the wandering stars, or the wanderers, or planets, or planetes in Greek, which means wanderers. And there are only seven of them. So before the time of the telescopes, since the time of creation, if you look up into the skies and try to figure out what's going on and analyze things and look at patterns, you could see seven heavenly bodies moving across the skies. Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter. That's all you could see with naked eye. Seven. Interesting. Number seven appears at the very beginning of the Bible, also in terms of the days of creation. Is this by chance or coincidence? I'm not sure. Maybe with the purpose that with the naked eye we could see number seven in the skies. And it's interesting because if you look at the purpose of the heavenly bodies, Again, not all those distant stars, but talking strictly about our solar system, the wanderers, sun, moon, and these 5 planets. The purpose is to show signs, seasons, days, and years. Okay, seasons like months, days, years. And the Earth and the Sun, in their relationship with each other, they show us days and years. The Moon shows us the months. That's how we calculate months, the motion of the Moon. But there is only one time unit that does not seem to appear in the sky, and that's the week, 7-day week, which is mentioned at the very beginning of the Bible, and we still use the 7-day week thousands of years later for some reason. Well, the number 7 actually appears in the skies, and it has appeared there from the beginning of the time, from the time in the beginning, and it was there for all to see. You did not need telescopes or any kind of technology. With the naked eye, you could see the 7 wanderers in the skies and their movement. That's all you could see. Just 7 things moving across the sky, nothing else. So perhaps in some way, this number 7 could be related to the creation week, showing us number 7 in the skies, as much as we have days, months, and years displayed through the relationship between the sun, moon, and the earth. These extra 5 wanderers come to the number 7 in the sky, perhaps corresponding to the creation week, or perhaps not. Maybe it is just a coincidence, or perhaps these are here by design and purpose. Shows number 7 in the skies. Now, if we look at the beginning of the scriptures, the beginning of the creation account, this is what we are told. The opening sentence, the opening phrase, Genesis 1:1-3. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. Now, one of the greatest mysteries of the creation narrative in the Bible is that there is light that appears first on day 1, and the sun and the moon appear only, and the stars also on day 4. So how can there be light to be seen from this planet if the sun and moon did not appear to exist until day 4? So that's one of the greatest mysteries of the creation account. It's been debated for thousands of years. Some people suggest that, like perhaps on Venus, you have this thick, filthy atmosphere that does not allow any sunlight to get through. So if you're seeing things from the surface of Venus, looking up into the sky, there's just darkness. So as far as uh, people who live on Venus, let's say for argument's sake, they could not see any light, even though the moon and the sun exist. If only somebody could clear up the atmosphere and remove that mess, clear it up, then you could see the light coming through. But some people say that's what happened on the day 4. There's this big thick atmosphere around the earth also, and it was cleared up on day 4, which it may be agreeable to some people. I don't know. It's just a perspective. Maybe so, maybe not. What's interesting is that at the beginning of the Bible, we are told that there is light first before the moon and the sun appear to exist. Now, when you come to the end of the Bible, obviously this would be strictly naturalistic, materialistic perspective to say that there can be no other type of light but the light that comes from the sun for us in the solar system and on Earth to see, and the other stars, I suppose, in the distance. That's the only light we have. That's the naturalistic perspective, materialistic perspective. But the scriptures tell us there are different types of light, the different kinds of light also. So we come to the end of the Bible narrative, right at the end of it, last 2 chapters in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, 21 and 22. This is what we are told. When the new Jerusalem descends from heaven, which again is a different dimension. It's not a visible universe. It's a different dimension altogether. The New Jerusalem descends from the heaven and lands on the planet Earth. And this city, the New Jerusalem, this city had no need of the sun or of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God illuminated it. The Lamb is its light. Lamb is the key word pointing to Jesus Christ or God incarnate. So God himself is the light of the New Jerusalem. So there are other types of light in the Bible, not just natural light like the sun or stars, but there is also supernatural light that's not made of stuff and material. And then you continue to read in the next chapter, right at the conclusion of the Bible, it says, there, again, New Jerusalem, New Earth, there shall be no night there. They need no lamp nor light of the sun, for the Lord God gives them light. Again, he is the light himself. The Lamb is its light. God is light of the New Jerusalem, the New Earth. And they shall reign forever and ever. So this is what we find in the scriptures. There is this idea that there is a light also that can come through supernatural means. And in this case, specifically through God himself and his presence when he comes near us or near the planet Earth or near humans. He is actually source of light in some way, in some manner, somehow. But that's what the scriptures tell us. And that's very interesting. Right at the end of the Bible, we are told that we do not need the light of the sun to have light. Right at the beginning of the Bible, in the creation account, when people read it, they ask, how can there be light on day one when the sun is not created yet until day 4? So the question is, how can there be light when there is no sun? Right at the end of the Bible story, we are told there is no need for the light of the sun to have light. On the new earth, in New Jerusalem, God himself is the one who brings light through his presence. So there can be light. In the biblical worldview, in the biblical framework and narrative, you can have light that comes from supernatural sources rather than just from the sun or the stars. This is what we find in the scriptures. So this is a little reflection on the heavenly bodies. We looked at the 7 wanderers in the skies, the 7 bodies that move across the skies in the night and in the day, the sun, specifically the sun. And this is what was visible to the ancients, to our predecessors since the time of the very beginning. And we have, according to the biblical narrative, the sun, the moon, and the 5 planets, or the 7 wanderers, being set into the skies with a specific plan and purpose to show us the times and the seasons, day, month, year, and perhaps even the week, if you consider the number 7 in the 7 wanderers that move across the skies. And also there's some quite accurate, highly accurate mathematical precision in terms of the distance and shape and ratio between the sun and the moon that that are so vastly different in size, yet they appear to be perfectly identical to us from our human perspective, looking from the planet Earth at these heavenly bodies. So this is what we read in the scriptures. And the beginning of the scriptures correspond to the end of the scriptures. If you look at the light that comes out of nowhere in the beginning, the light appears at the end of the story again, not coming from the sun, but coming from God himself. Again, this is not to explain the Genesis creation, why there was light before day 4. I have no idea. I really don't know. It's a mystery. But it's just to say that there's some reasons for this that we may not be able to understand. And strictly materialistic perspective on the universe that says there is no spiritual realm, it just doesn't compute the Bible. But there's something more in the Bible than just the sun and the planets and the galaxies. So you can have light coming from other supernatural sources too. So we continue with Science and Faith Conversations. Thank you for listening. May God bless you.